And welcome into the show, everybody. This is Austin Silvey for the Evening Sports Page. On with me now, you've probably heard of him. If you haven't, I would suggest you look him up, and you're probably going to enjoy this interview regardless. But we're on right now with FunnyMaine, Jermaine Johnson, comedian from Alabama, big Crimson Tide fan. Been a pro comedian since 2005. His first ever performance was at UAB. Walked off to a standing ovation. And if you've seen some of his content, you completely understand why. We're going to go ahead and bring him on real quick. Jermaine, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I appreciate you coming on with us. And if you would, kind of just explain what you do and, just a little bit of a background story for some of the listeners.
I'm just a guy who loves to laugh, loves to make people laugh, and just blessed to do this comedy thing for 12 years now. And 2 years ago, we mixed the comedy with my love for football and doing these weekly videos about how Bama fans watch the game, man, and just so much love and support for those videos, averaging about 1.5 to 2 million views a week.
As far as the football part of this goes, obviously, everybody thought Clemson, Georgia, and Oklahoma would be in after their performances on a championship weekend. But the number 4 spot was obviously, one that was up for contest. A lot of people thought Ohio State deserved to be in. Of course, there was a lot of people voting Bama in. What's your thoughts on the committee's decision to put in Alabama over Ohio State?
Well, I think with Bama being one of probably the most consistent team over the past 10 seasons, I mean, who doesn't want to compete against them? I think the "We Want Bama" slogan has taken on a life of its own, and I think the top teams, they do want Bama. They want to play the team that's been the best of the best the last few years, and I think the committee agreed with that. They looked at Bama's entire body of work, and Ohio State, oddly enough, they were left out this year by the same logic that got them in last year to the playoffs. So I think this particular season, this particular time in college football, you definitely want Bama in the playoffs.
It's going to be in New Orleans against what has become a familiar opponent for the Crimson Tide in Clemson. This is their third straight playoff meeting. First time that's not in the national championship. But one of these teams is going to play for the third consecutive national championship. And, Clemson's 3-1 in the playoffs. They won last year. Alabama's 3-2 in the playoffs. They won 2 years ago. But they've made it into the playoffs now every year. But overall, how do you see this game playing out, and what does Bama have to do to, knock off number 1 Clemson? Obviously, you've been dealing with injuries and all, but what do you think are the keys for Alabama in this game?
Well, I think you said it, though. The injuries for Alabama has kind of got everybody, on their toes a little bit, not knowing exactly what type of Bama team will show up week to week, but we get a lot of guys back healthy. And Clemson is a formidable opponent. Another program that's just been absolutely consistent over the past couple of years, and I think it's fitting that we have a tiebreaker this year between. It'll be the third time playing them, so I guess whoever wins this time will definitely have the tiebreaker in that new rivalry. And Clemson, great team, man, top to bottom. They play as a unit, not a lot of superstars, so Bama will really have to be locked in. A lot of our younger players definitely have to step up, and, man, it's going to be a fun and interesting contest to watch.
I know the status and health was released on a couple of the Bama players. Defensive end LeBron Rain said he'll be day-to-day when they come back from holidays. Hootie Jones will be sidelined, I read, with injuries. What are some other of the injuries, and do you know any guys that will be back or any guys that are just not going to be able to make it back? Anything else?
Yeah, I think we'll get 3 guys back at the linebacker position, which was really hurting us. Unfortunately, we won't get Sean B. and Hamilton. He's out for the rest of the season, but we get some experience back at that position. And I think the the secondary is pretty stacked, man. When you're talking about Minka Fitzpatrick, you're talking about getting Hootie back at safety, some great corners, and the young guys, Anthony Averett, Tony Brown. So it's going to be a great contest. You know, I think we stack up well with Clemson and vice versa. So let's just get them on the field, man, and work this thing out.
Absolutely. I can't wait to watch it. I know you headlined the comedy show at the College Football Hall of Fame during Chick-fil-A kickoff weekend when Alabama played FSU. Any plans to maybe do a headline comedy show for the Sugar Bowl?
It's still a possibility. I haven't gotten that call yet, and we haven't planned anything, but I would love to entertain all of the Bama fans that are coming down for this great contest. You know, it's New Orleans. It's going to be New Year's. So it's going to be a party, but you're going to have two rabid fan bases there, a lot of orange and crimson walking down Bourbon Street, and I can't wait, man. I cannot wait.
I wish I could go, but I'll be at home watching on my TV. You're the perfect guy to ask this, I think. But what do you think Auburn's chances are of upsetting Central Florida? And I do realize how I worded that.
You know, of course it wouldn't be much of an upset. You're talking about a team that you know made it to the SEC championship at Auburn, who the only team to beat Alabama so far this year. They had two back-to-back wins against number one teams in Bama and Georgia. It came up a little short in Atlanta versus Georgia. So, you know, they're a prideful team. They got a solid fan base who believes in them wholeheartedly, and I think they'll be ready to show UCF what the SEC is all about, and I think UCF will be ready to show an SEC team what they're all about. So it'll be a great contest to watch.
Yeah, that's another one I'm looking forward to. But switching gears a little bit, I know you're a big Saints fan. Winners of 8 out of the last 9 games. They lost a close one to the Rams, who have become a really hot team as well. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram look like a unstoppable force in the backfield.
Absolutely.
What do you think about the Saints' chances at possibly making a run at the Super Bowl?
I hate to start talking about it until we, get past that first round of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that tandem that we got, two guys that wore crimson. Of course, Kamara, he finished at Tennessee, but definitely started his career at Alabama, and Mark Ingram being our first Heisman Trophy winner, and it's just a pleasure to, be able to enjoy these guys on the next level. The defense finally stepped it up this year, man. So that's all we've been waiting on is at least a decent defense, and they're better than decent this year. And Drew Brees, the sky's the limit. He is the master. I just love watching him carve up defenses every Sunday, and he never disappoints. So I don't want to jinx it. No NFL rat poison. So everybody's got a chance right now. If they can get into that playoff, everybody's got a fair shot.
Again, we're on with FunnyMaine Jermaine Johnson, comedian, writer, actor, Bama fan, Tide riding, big smiling, great guy, great content. You can find him on Twitter, Facebook at FunnyMaine. That's funny, M-A-I-N-E. And kind of wrapping up, what's the matchup you'd like to see the most in Atlanta for the national championship?
Oh man, I don't have a favorite. You got outside of Bama. I can't politic on that. I am a Bama fan, but when I'm talking about favorites, I'm talking about the Georgia and Oklahoma matchup. I don't really have a favorite in that, and I just hope that Bama, if they are able to get past a tough Clemson team, that they'll be ready to face whoever. You talk about Baker Mayfield, who is as advertised. He is good. He's got wheels. He's got a cannon-full arm. He definitely brings some attitude and personality to the game. So that would be interesting to go up against him and all those weapons at Oklahoma. And then on the other side of it, Kirby. It's Kirby, man. Somebody that us Bama fans are really fond of for all of the years and the championships that he brought to Alabama. So either way, man, next up is Clemson. So after Clemson, if we get past them, man, let's bring it on, whoever it is.
If Georgia was to win their matchup, whether they played Alabama or Clemson, I couldn't imagine the scene, how crazy it would be around the Mercedes-Benz Superdome that day.
Oh, you better believe it, man. I mean, it's a championship game. No matter what two teams get in, it's going to be electric. But if you're talking about two SEC teams and these wild fans that we have, it would be a bananas crazy scene down in New Orleans. That I can guarantee you.
Jermaine, I thank you for coming on with us. Tell the people where they can find some good videos, content, any upcoming tour dates, anything new they could look for coming up.
Absolutely. All my info, if you need it, just visit my website, FunnyMaine, FUNNY, MAINE, spelled just like the state.com. And visit funnymaine.com. There's a merchandise tour schedule, which we're about to add the 2018 dates here real soon. They've been piling up, so those will be released very soon. And I got the same name on all your favorite social media apps at FunnyMaine.
You heard it, FunnyMaine. Man, I appreciate you coming on with us, and I look forward to watching the matchup in New Orleans between Alabama and Clemson, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, my friend. Let's get ready to roll, y'all. Roll Tide.